people stalking me in the shelter. I know. And that lady had people stalking me. The lady that worked there had people watching me to see if I was making content. I know that too. I know that one girl that walked by and took a picture on her iPad.
People keep asking why Tophia swears she's being stalked everywhere she goes. According to her, random people inside the shelter are spies, taking pictures of her because she's watched and targeted. But the reality? You're not being spied on. You're just well known in a place that you broadcast to every single day. Everyone in that shelter already knows who you are. Not because they're obsessed, but because they're exhausted. They can't talk freely. They don't want to appear on your live streams. And honestly, they're probably just tired of tiptoeing around the girl who goes live in a crowded dorm room like it's a personal content studio. And the irony? Remember that moment when another woman accidentally revealed all her private information on your live stream? And you barely reacted? But then, 2 weeks later, you suddenly stood on your moral high horse and declared, there should be no filming inside shelters, no videos, no photos, while actively live streaming inside a shelter. You cannot make this up. Then we get the infamous staring girl story. Apparently, a woman in the shelter would stand at the end of Tophia's bed, unmoving, just staring. According to Tophia, she just stood there and stared at me. She stared at everybody. Then this same woman tried to sleep in her old bed, got told no, threw a fit, and started making loud noises until staff stepped in. Now, that's obviously unsettling behavior. But instead of using that as motivation to leave the situation, or get a job, or change environments, Tophia used it as yet another excuse for why working is impossible.
So I don't know why. And then there was this lady that stood at the end of my bed and stared at me. She would stare at me. This girl would stand at the edge of my bed and would stare at me, just like stare at me and stare at people. And then one time, she would just stare at everyone. She just stared. And so basically what happened is that one time she stared at, she refused, she went to go lay in her old bed because they told her she couldn't lay in her old bed. There was someone there. But she got mad, threw a tantrum and started screaming to herself. She started making noises. And then she started making noises. And then when she started making noises, she wouldn't stop. And they told her to stop and she got worse.
When she was asked to undergo a mental health evaluation, she claims it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Even if I got evaluated, they said I'd still have to talk to a supervisor, and the supervisor would have suspended me. So instead of doing either step, she simply didn't. To her, this wasn't a requirement, it was a conspiracy, another barrier, another reason she absolutely could not possibly stay.
I didn't get thrown out because I refused the psych evaluation. That's not what was told to me. They said I needed to get evaluated, but they also said I needed to talk to the supervisor because that still would not, they said that still is not enough for me to stay there. They said even with evaluation, I still could possibly be suspended. So there's no point to get an evaluation. They didn't tell me I can only get an evaluation to stay there. They said I would have had to went to talk to a supervisor as well, on top of the evaluation, and the supervisor would have denied me to stay there, and I still would have been suspended.
Then we reach the part where she says working is impossible. The shuttle leaves too early, getting to town is too hard. Buses don't line up. Her mom won't move. She can't abandon her mom. California was an option, but she can't leave. And of course, jobs aren't reliable anyway. But here's the part that blows my mind. She keeps saying, it's not that I can't work, it's that the system makes working impossible. Meanwhile, shelters all across the country are full of people working brutal shifts while living in even worse conditions. Somehow, they manage. Somehow, they catch the early shuttle. But for her, the shuttle being early is enough reason to never attempt employment at all.
Social media isn't reliable either, but neither is a job. So don't try to lie, because nothing is reliable. Nor jobs nor social media is not reliable. Roommates are not reliable. No, it's not. No, it's not. You don't even have to do nothing to get fired. If they want to lay you off because they want to say, oh, well, it's too expensive to keep you. I'm not going to work for pennies. I'm sorry. You must think I'm stupid. There's a lot of issues with jobs and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure people have said, oh, I'm at work, and then they're not at work, But the last shuttle is at 8. And yes, I could work an earlier shift, right? But It's a hassle to get on the shuttle to get from there to a job and then make it back on time. And it's not even making it back on time, it's the fact that the way it's set up, the way they have it set up, it's not the way their rules are set up and everything is set up, you cannot have a job. If you wasn't staying there, you can look for work. And I didn't have anywhere else to go, so because buses are free, city buses, but to get a bus from like Roswell to Albuquerque, yeah, I can't. It's not feasible, and I already have a place anyway, so I mean until I get a place. But what I'm saying is like that doesn't work for me because how am I gonna get into town? My mom's family, especially her brother, can't go all the way to pick me up because he can't get off of work. He works. Well, I can't travel because my mom is not going to move, and I cannot force her to move somewhere she doesn't want to because literally I could have went to California. I had the opportunity to live in California. Someone gave me an opportunity to live at one of his properties because I was not getting housing. But for me, I can't say F it. Okay, I could leave and leave my mom behind and then abandon her, and I'm not going to do that. I can't force her to move somewhere she doesn't want to move.
And this is the part that kills me. She had pure gold for content. Imagine a TikTok captioned, "My creepy bunkmate keeps watching me while I sleep." It would have exploded instantly. Shelter horror stories go insanely viral. Everyone knows that. But the reason she didn't film it is simple. She wanted to complain about the environment without sacrificing the sympathy aura. She'll live stream strangers by mistake, but when it's about actually showing the chaos she's describing, suddenly the camera stays off. Now we get to the legendary Dunkin' Donuts chapter, aka the one cold egg incident. She insists she was an amazing employee, never talked back, made perfect sandwiches, the customers loved her, she got the most tips, and everyone was jealous. Yet somehow, she got fired. According to her, it wasn't performance, it wasn't mistakes, it wasn't work ethic. No, she believes the manager was jealous that she earned more tips than everyone else. But anybody who's worked in food service knows pooled tips exist specifically to avoid drama like this. If anything, coworkers want you to get big tips, because they get them too. But managers don't fire their highest tipped employee. They fire problem employees, rude ones, slow ones, people customers complain about. When a manager wants you gone, they always pick an excuse that won't escalate. They said you burned the sandwiches. They said you gave cold food. They said you made mistakes. It's a polite firing, and she interpreted that as jealousy.
Servers do not get paid. They get paid by tips. If you do not tip people when you go eat and sit down at a restaurant, then don't go. I was a really good employee. I didn't do nothing to nobody. I didn't talk back. I didn't say anything to anyone. I did what I was supposed to do. I made sandwiches the way I was supposed to make them. Someone might have got one cold egg. That was one of the complaints. She was saying that she kept getting complaints that I was burning the sandwiches. No, I was not burning the sandwiches because why would I keep burning sandwiches and giving them to people? That's stupid. If I burn something, I'm going to throw it and hurry up and start over because you have to get sandwiches out in 3 minutes or less. To literally sit here and lie is utter and complete bullshit considering the fact the sandwiches that I was giving out to customers were not burnt. I think she was mad that I was getting more tips than other employees, and she couldn't have that because if I was getting more tips than other employees, then she would have literally had to, and how is she going to explain to her employees that another employee is receiving more tips? Like, that's what I really think. Like, literally, why should I have to split my tips with someone that didn't even earn it?
At this point, one pattern becomes painfully clear. Every negative outcome in her life is someone else's fault. The shelter, a conspiracy, the job, jealous coworkers, the shuttle, unreasonable, California, can't leave mom, live streaming, her right, other people being filmed, not allowed, psych evaluation, wouldn't help anyway, learning from consequences, never happening. And that's why nothing changes.